Welcome back, imagination connoisseurs. I'm Lana, and this is Lana Yuen Reviews exclusively on the Burnett work. And boy, do I have a hell of a review for you. Today, we're looking at the 80s cult classic H.P. Lovecraft's From Beyond. You can bet from the title that we're going to get some pretty fantastic tentacle action from this one. While I'm not the most well-versed in Lovecraft works, I do really enjoy the placement of characters and universes where they do not belong. His stories are full of nail-biting suspense, thick atmosphere, and general uneasiness. The man is the daddy of everyone's favorite cosmic entity, the Cthulhu monster. Lovecraft has heavily inspired leviathans in science fiction and horror movie history. Some of my favorites being John Carpenter in his remake of The Thing, and Andrzej Zulawski's Possession, more recently, Robert Eggers' The Lighthouse, and Richard Stanley's Color Out of Space. Not to mention every Guillermo del Toro film. Oh, Duck Jones. Gooey masterpiece From Beyond stars everyone's favorite eccentric antihero Jeffrey Combs, 80s poster girl Barbara Crampton, Ted Sorrell as the always naked and ever slimy Dr. Pretorius, and the great Ken Foree from Dawn of the Dead fame. The film is directed by cult filmmaker Stuart Gordon and his longtime collaborator Brian Yuzna, whose catalog of films are some of the campiest, dumb fun, sci-fi horror flicks of the 80s and early 90s. I mean, they did a film called Space Truckers. Doesn't get more silly than that. From Beyond is about a mad scientist and his assistant who have developed a machine called the Resonator, a machine that temporarily enables those nearby to see beyond perceptible reality by stimulating the pineal gland, or the pineal gland. Still very unclear about how you say that word. Alas, when the experiment succeeds, they are attacked by what can only be described as embryonic, tubular, toothy, suckling life forms, and they're all covered in primordial ooze. Yum. Having just seen Reanimator, I was hoping the team could strike gold twice and capture that same campy, downright disgusting fun I'd come to love. Cause I love me some gore, and From Beyond did not disappoint. And before we jump in, this review is full of spoilers and a bunch of other things that are going to ruin your lunch. So if you haven't seen it yet, I would pick up a copy of the recently released 4K Blu-ray from our good friends at Vinegar Syndrome, and tell them Lana sent you. And with that, let's see if this movie goes above and beyond expectations. I love a mad scientist horror flick, from classics like Cronenberg's The Fly to more culty types like Frank Henenlotter's Frankenhooker. It's so captivating watching a madman walk along the very edge of science and then stumble further into madness as things tragically and unexpectedly go to shit.
No, I want to see more.
And while the story we're given here is fairly by the book, scientists trying to recreate an experiment, From Beyond does do things a little differently. We've got a young Herbert West, Crawford Tillinghast, an assistant to a mad scientist who's gone missing in a sensual dimension. Tillinghast, witness to something so hulkingly evil and beyond comprehension, wants nothing more than to destroy the machine that he helped create for fear of what it might unleash. And yet, some supernatural force calls to him, compelling him to follow the mad scientist and succumb to eternal ecstasy. Terror and pleasure all in one. Pinhead would approve. While it may not be the most original plot ever devised, from a production standpoint, there's something charming about the look and the feel of everything presented here. The minimalist set designs that shake when actors open doors, strings that are clearly visible on flying puppets, and the way cameras move in on some of the cheesiest lines.
Bit off his head. Like a gingerbread man.
The way the light changes into those saturated blues and pinks when the resonator is activated is enough to make any Twitch streamer jealous. And of course, that indoor gentle summer breeze filling the room and getting everyone in the mood. This flick is absolutely disgusting in all the best possible ways. From the opening scene when Tillinghast is struggling with this flying interdimensional eel and it's attacking him and bites him on the cheek, I was f***ing in. Even the little unicellular organisms floating around the air that love to bite and suck on people's heads trying to get all the pineal juice cream out of there, and it's disgusting. Turning away to It's a hallmark of a good time. From Beyond has so many of these moments that by the end, I felt fatigued, like I had just gone through a haunted house over and over again. We've got heads being twisted off, slime flying everywhere, flesh-eating bees, pineal glands bursting out of foreheads. We have long hot dog fingers groping boobs that I can see on screen, groping who knows what else off screen, and so much more. You can really tell this effects team is having the time of their lives. I can't even imagine how much rubber and slime is being flung around at cast members on set, probably enough to rival the adult film industry on a good day. Yet, as dated as some of the effects look, I found the creature designs to hold up really well. Like, too well. Like, ooh, well, really well. But we really need to talk about the third eye that pops out of Tillinghast's head as it whips around. Or maybe we don't need to talk about it. I mean, the thing has a mind of its own, clearly.
Finally, some good food.
You know, I could say a lot of things about that, gland, but maybe I don't need to. I mean, you're thinking it, I'm thinking it, we're both thinking it. Maybe that's enough. Check out the different stages of Dr. Pretorius, though. The naked, curly chest hair, the bare bootiest Pretorius, the melty face taffy man, to the slimy phallic creature. This movie was made almost 40 years ago, and it still made me feel like, bleh, you know? I mean, when's the last time a new movie made you bleh? Anyway, let's talk about Jeffrey Combs. He might be one of my favorite oddball actors working to this day. He's got this nerdy, awkward bad boy vibe that just makes the horror girls go wild. Everything from Reanimator to The Frighteners and even to Star Trek. He does deliver lines a little bit stagey here and he knows how to chew a scene, but somehow it works. And while I prefer him more in his role in Reanimator, what we get here is still playing to his strengths. Barbara Crampton is a horror icon. She's one of the greatest scream queens from the 80s, and we all know exactly why she's here. Dr. McMichaels is introduced to us as a tightly wound psychiatrist in a large overcoat and dorky glasses. Obviously, she's gonna transform into the hot girl in 3 easy steps. It is the formula for every 80s movie. The ugly girl takes off her glasses, swaps into a form-fitting dress, and lets her hair tumble down to or past her shoulders. But this movie does go a bit further. Dr. McMichaels swaps out her dress for, well, a dominatrix outfit. Someone's been a very bad girl. This movie is horny. Really, really horny. The Resonator itself is obviously a giant intergalactic sex toy straight from Spencer's Gifts. And whenever the Resonator is resonating, it's sending everyone into a sex frenzy. Instantly everyone's at a rave and everyone's peeking on MDMA and they're all hypnotized by the laser lights and feeling each other up. And then someone flips on the house lights and everyone's like, what the fuck just happened? And as fun as Jeffrey Combs is, he just doesn't feel like a fully fleshed out lead character to me. What are his motivations? What are anyone's motivations? Why did he get wrapped up in this experiment? Why the fuck is Bubba here? There are no answers to any of these very basic questions. And while I wish we had more Bubba in the story, I would like to give a special shout out to Ken Foree's Speedos. I don't know how much money they paid you to be in this movie, but it was not enough. So we can all agree that From Beyond has no depth to its characters, right? I mean, let's compare it to Reanimator, which has 3 leads as well, except all of the relationships outside of the core plot of the movie actually exist. There's a budding friendship between Dan and Herbert, there's a romantic relationship between Dan and Barbara, and Herbert's relationship with the villain is much more complex. Dr. Hill is a mentor that Herbert hates, but he can't escape. And From Beyond, it feels like 3 strangers with pretty much nothing binding them together, except for a insatiable need for Molly and a nebulous villain that appears just to sexually assault you. Oh, they have that in Reanimator? The sexual assault? Oh. Okay. Listen, this is not an Oscar-winning screenplay by any means, but what we get is a fun, gory, hypersexual twist on a mad scientist story. And if you go in knowing what to expect, you're gonna have a really fun time. It's nowhere near as good as Reanimator story-wise, but the practical effects more than make up for what we're missing character-wise. They just don't make movies like this anymore. Again, this was 40 years ago, and it's still so much fun to watch, and even more fun to show to other people. Movie night should be an event, and this is one you won't forget. What are your thoughts on From Beyond? Is there another H.P. Lovecraft film that ties these films together?
I'm tired of this.
Please leave your thoughts and recommendations below, and until next time, I've got my eye on you. This is gonna be a struggle. I want to say Roger Ebers so bad. Tasty primordial ooze. Don't know why I included the word tasty. It is not in the script. Buy my soup, Frank. Hootenlotterlers. A lot of funny words in this. And the movie was made 40 years ago. Blech. But the plot is so fun.